So my name is John Waters. I'm Managing Director of a consultancy called Living Leadership. About half of my work is introducing the ideas of Barry Oshry into the UK. I've been doing that for 3 years. And today is one of the workshops run through the Northern Leadership Academy, working with Cumbria County Council. What I did today on day one is set up what we call the organisational workshop, which is a simulation, an experience of being in a company in one of 4 spaces. Tops, who are responsible for the organisation, bottoms, who we describe as workers, middles, who try and make the organisation function between tops and workers, and customers, who want to have services and have money for the company. So people were randomly allocated into one of those 4 spaces, and then we had short, intense working days of 13 minutes, and we interspersed that with 2-minute reflections where people took time out and reflected on what was happening to them, what was happening in other parts of the system, and trying to make sense of it. In between, mid-morning, after 2 work days, we had what we called a time out of time, which is where you bring the whole organisation, the whole system, tops, middles, bottoms, customers, together for a conversation in a particular way, where we try and, what we describe as, lower the walls and understand what's going on behind each of these different worlds. There's an assumption that there are different worlds. And we ask each group, the tops, the middles, bottoms, customers, to speak for a time-limited period and get to the essence of what's been happening in their world. And one of the things that people quickly discover is there are very distinct pressures, challenges, and differences if you're a top, middle, bottom customer. And actually sharing that in a way which is really just speaking and listening brings a lot of understanding about the nature of the difficulties of making a human system, in this case an organisational system, work very well. And one of the outcomes is that people initially often blame each other. There's a lot of emotion and energy, which you'll probably see when you see the toot. But what follows is when we offer a short strategic input, which says, look, it feels very personal. If I'm not getting what I want, if I'm feeling under pressure, if people don't seem to be collaborating, people experience this personal, but people are trying to survive the best they can in the conditions of their worlds. And so what we offer is a systemic lens to try and see your experience in a different context. And what we find is, and what we found this morning, is people have greater understanding and empathy and more willingness to go back into the organisation and create the partnerships despite all these difficulties. And perhaps they will still experience the difficulties, but they'll have a different understanding of the nature of those and they'll be less personalised. My personal reflections so far on the day are that as the day unfolds, as we start to get into the working days, it reminds me of why I do this work, that people have such frustrations in how we relate to each other, and that becomes apparent this morning, and it reminds me of each time how I run this workshop. And the thing that keeps me going excited about this work is people are ready to see a different way, a different lens, if you like, of how to relate better to other people and to produce better human systems. We're looking at organisation this morning, but it's equally applicable to communities and families. And so it's refreshing to see the switch, real time, in the course of half an hour, with people feeling very animated and very clear about who's at fault, what other people should be doing differently, and then a sort of switch of a moment of understanding and realisation that people are doing the best they can in difficult circumstances, and to see sort of dawning on people's faces new possibilities, a new way of relating, sort of less perhaps angst, less or perhaps not so much less angst, but when the angst comes and the difficulty comes, being able to recover quicker. So that's great satisfaction. I mean, the word joy comes to mind. It's a great joy to see that possibility because, my goodness me, people, all our systems, whether it's communities, families or organisational systems, need better ways of relating.